continuing now with Lake County Sheriff John Buncich, just renominated as the Democratic candidate for sheriff in Lake County. $30 million, that came up a lot during the campaign, how much we've had to spend to put the jail into compliance. Are we over the hump at this point? Do you think $30 million is the final figure?
Well, $30 million is the annual budget for the Sheriff's Department. So far, the improvements that we had to put into the jail because of the deficiencies cited by the Department of Justice and the lawsuits associated with it are right now probably hitting $18 million. And we anticipate with the hiring of new corrections officers mandated by the Department of Justice and other medical and mental health areas mandated by the Department of Justice, it's probably going to end up being $25 to $30 million.
$25 to $30 million.
Because of neglect, correct.
In the end, how many new officers are we going to have?
The Department of Justice wanted a total of 65, and we're settling on in the 54, 55 range.
And is there some merit to the argument that maybe you need to cut back in other areas? If we've got such a major expense, and keep in mind it did happen before you took over as sheriff, but then you need to cut back. You've got a Marine unit, you've got other elements out there that maybe they just need to go away.
Well, those are operations on the merit side. On the police side, the law enforcement side, we're talking about the budget for the sheriff's jail budget. And we've made a lot of concessions for the last 3 years, and I intend to make some more concessions during the budget process that starts in June.
We're going to see units going? We're going to see
fewer
road officers?
No. Definitely, that's one thing we're not going to cut back on the police side and lessen the numbers of law enforcement officers. That would be the last resort. I'm talking about within the jail budget itself, cuts in those areas there.
Is this jail simply just too old? You need to look at some point you're going to look at replacing the entire thing?
No, I mean, when I was sheriff before, we put the new addition on, and that's relatively new. It's only 14 years old. The old jail, we're in the process of renovating that. The plumbing, of course, has been in terrible condition, the infrastructure, but the repairs are being made that need to be made. I want to point out, too, that had these repairs been done on a regular basis, these repairs wouldn't be necessary now, such drastic measures. So it was just a matter of routine maintenance that was not kept up.
The issue of whether or not Lake County is tackling its gang problem, that came up over and over again during the primary. Where do you see the gang problem is coming from in Lake County?
It's primarily in the urban areas, but again, these are issues that we have to deal with. We do the sweeps, we work in cooperation with the STOP team, other law enforcement agencies throughout the county, but there's a major problem there. These gangs are becoming more notorious, they're more violent, they're well armed, they're dealing with drug trafficking, and they are virtually destroying the neighborhoods and leading to an increase in homicide rates.
And this also came up, the whole notion of, do we need to do more than offer help to the different agencies, but actually start combining some of these agencies, have one detective unit or a homicide unit?
And that's exactly what we're doing.
But they're still all independent. Gary, each one of these communities has their own.
They're independent, but we're working more closely together, and that's a good thing. We're lending homicide detectives to Gary. We're lending narcotics units and gang units to East Chicago, Hammond, and Gary, but we're working in cooperation. We're also working in cooperation with the Cook County Sheriff's Department because a lot of the drug trafficking and the gangs are coming over the border.
How do you strike the balance between north and south? So much of the population in the north, there may be a real need, but a lot of those are inside communities. You have a large area in the south that needs to be patrolled.
And we do not neglect the south area. We make certain, when I took office again in 11, we reorganized our patrol districts, and we've increased our patrol. I put every police officer possible, took them from behind a desk, put them on the street where they belong. But we're not neglecting the south one bit. And let's keep in mind that if we don't address this problem in the urban areas with the gangs and the drugs, it's going to spread to the other areas, which is a known fact right now. Heroin is becoming the drug of choice for young men and women, especially in the middle class and upper middle class areas of this county.
And how does the Sheriff's Department handle that?
Well, again, enforcement, intervention, and prevention programs. That's what we're doing.
So, I mean, you're coordinating with other units, or, I mean, where do you think the heroin is coming from, and how do you tackle it?
Well, of course, the heroin's coming up through the Mexican pipeline, through Texas and up through here. And it's Chicago metro area is the distribution. And again, I go back to the gangs, the major gangs, the Latin Kings, your disciples. These are our major distribution areas, groups that are doing this. And we're just tackling that problem. We're going in, we're infiltrating their operations, and trying to lessen their operation. You're never going to eliminate it. We're seizing narcotics like crazy, but you're never going to eliminate it. So we're just, it's a constant fight.
Sheriff John Buncich, congratulations on your victory, and thank you so much for being on.
Thank you very much, Steve.